Hi, I'm Troy.
And I'm Vicki.
And we are Empty Nesters Wine. Hi, welcome back to Empty Nesters Podcast, episode 18, The Pets of Empty Nesters. I think you've probably heard our dogs a few times in the background on some of our podcasts. So anyway, we thought we'd give them a little shout out and a little airtime. Hey guys, make sure you like this podcast on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, go to Facebook and like our Facebook page, Empty Nesters Wine. We're getting really close to opening, and we'll keep you updated on that on our Facebook page. Hey Vicki, what wine are we tasting today?
We are going to try a Snowy Peaks Riesling.
Riesling, another wine that our producer Robert brought back from Estes Park. Yes, so at the end of the podcast, we'll be tasting that Riesling. I love a good Riesling. Those are always good. You can't go wrong with a Riesling.
Which is funny because they're more on the sweet side.
Right. So, yeah, we've always been pet people, dog people, animal people. I mean, we love animals. So we've always had dogs throughout the years of our, 27 almost years together.
Yep.
We've always been dog people. We had, but our current dogs kind of starts with Chewbacca, our little Westie, who's passed away.
Yeah.
He was the best dog ever. We went to Holton, to the Walmart parking lot, and picked him up. And on the way back from Holton...
we met with the breeder at the parking lot. We didn't just go to the parking lot and pick him up.
We just went out there and looked around, and we seen this dog running around. No. He was young. He was, 7, 8 weeks old?
Oh, I think he's somewhere around there.
Yeah, so right off the bat, we're driving home, brand new puppy. He crawls up into my lap and peed all over me. And from there, it was a great relationship, him and I, 13 years.
He was such a cute little pudgy puppy.
Yeah.
He'd lay down on his side, and his little legs couldn't even touch the floor. They'd have to stick straight out because he was so pudgy.
Yeah, that was great. So, Chewbacca was a great dog. He was getting a little older.
He's about 14.
Well, no, but way before that.
Oh.
We were thinking, we don't know how long he's going to live, but he'd been a good dog for 8, 9 years, whatever. And so we decided we wanted to breed him and get a puppy of his. So I knew a person that had a full-blooded female Westie. So we took her for a week. Mm-hmm. And kept them together, and then we would go, we'd put them out on a chain or on those little tethers outside sometimes. And so we went to Lawrence one time, left them tied up outside, and came back, and apparently she got pregnant.
It wasn't a Westie.
However many weeks later, the babies came out. We realized, so tying them up outside together doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do it. So some neighborhood dog came by and said, hey.
Yeah. So we had 2 white dogs that produced
a black dog.
Black dogs or multicolored dogs.
2 soft-haired white dogs. And our puppy Angus came out black, wire-haired, and obviously only part Westie on the mom's part. But he's been an awesome dog.
Yeah.
So we're very happy that we got him. So, we named Chewbacca after, obviously, Chewbacca from Star Wars. Mm-hmm. So we started going with that theme. So Angus was born, and I don't know if you guys are familiar, you should be, with the show MacGyver. But MacGyver's first name was Angus MacGyver. So we went along with that theme, and we named our dog Angus.
Well, they always have multiple names. Like Chewbacca was Chewbacca de la Vega.
Right.
And
de la Vega came from Zorro.
And then Angus is actually Angus Cordell Hank.
Yeah. So Angus from Angus MacGyver, and Cordell was
Cordell
Cordell
Walker.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
And then Hank was Hank the Cowdog, which our son was really big into reading all of those books.
Yeah. So yeah, he's been a good dog, and he's just a little fella. He's part Westie and part whatever
Something.
that neighborhood dog was. I don't know. But he's like 14, 15 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing really good. We still call Chewbacca his dad. His dad died at 13, so he's outlived his dad, and he's doing great, really. I mean, he's not showing any signs of issues.
Other than his teeth. He's starting to get a little trouble with his teeth. But
Right. So then we had Chewbacca, and we had Angus, and we're sitting on the front porch one day, and catty corner from us is this guy says, "Hey, we've got a bunch of puppies over here. You want to come look at them?" And I was like, "No, we absolutely do not want to come look at those puppies, because I know what's going to happen. If we go look at these puppies, we're taking one home."
uh-huh.
And Vicky sits there, and we're drinking coffee for a couple minutes, and she looks at me. She's like, "I want to go look at those puppies." And I was like, "No, we're not going to look at those puppies." Well, Vicky won, as she usually does, and just a few minutes later, we're over there looking at puppies, and we found the cutest little part beagle, part Jack Russell Terrier puppy.
Yep.
And
We figured he wouldn't get very big with being a Beagle
Yeah.
or a Jack Russell Terrier.
he came home with us. So again, with the naming of the movies and TV shows that we like, we
Yep.
named him Raylan Gibbons from the movie
The TV show
Justified, and then Black
From Sirius Black of Harry Potter.
Yeah,
And then
and
Castle, which was my favorite TV show of all time.
So I don't know. Is there a hyphen Black Castle? Raylan
No,
Black
I don't
Castle
know.
Clark?
Something. But he gets into trouble just like all of those characters do.
Oh man, Raylan is something. He is crazy.
But he's good-hearted,
Yeah, he is.
just like all of those characters.
So he's about 9 years old now. He thinks he's the protector of the house. He's always patrolling, looking out the windows, looking out the doors, keeping an eye on things. He will definitely warn us when the big bad male person is coming to kill us,
Or if the wind is blowing just right.
or the squirrels are climbing the trees. UPS.
I was out there
FedEx.
this morning doing something in the garage, and he was going nuts thinking somebody was attacking the house, even though he watched me walk out there.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you've ever come to our house to visit, Raylan sounds like he's ready to eat you alive when you're outside. But then you come in, he licks your hand, and he's happy. But, yeah, he hates the delivery people, UPS, FedEx, all that stuff, Amazon. So I work for FedEx. So one day I came home while I was on break, and I pulled up in my FedEx truck, and
Well, that's because you were running the route in this
Right.
area. Yeah.
I could hear him inside freaking out. So I'm in my uniform, so I start walking up to the door, and he's just going crazy. He wants to eat me alive.
He is jumping around in circles, bouncing off the door.
Just growling and barking. So I open the door, and I just look at him and say, "Hey, Raylan," and you could just see it in his eyes. His mind blew. And he's like, "What?"
What just happened here?
Yeah, that was very funny. So yeah, we have 2 dogs, and apparently a growing family of cats. So our son, before we were empty nesters, or after we were empty nesters, and then he came back.
Yeah, when he came back from the army.
I went up to wake him up one day for something, and I opened the door, and there is a little kitten sitting on the bed next to him, like nuzzling up on his face and stuff. And I was like, "Whoa, what?" And apparently he'd had this kitten in his room for a month before we even knew about it.
Yeah.
And so I felt bad for this kitten because it was locked in that bedroom 24/7. And so Austin would get up and go to work, and I'd sneak up there and I'd let the cat out and sit on up there and play with him, and took him outside a little bit and fed him treats, and he became my buddy.
Yes, but we couldn't get that cat to litter box train for anything.
Yeah. So one day I'm sitting on the front porch, and Austin comes walking out the front door and just kind of tossed the cat out in the yard. And I was like, "What are you doing?" He says, "He's an outdoor cat now." I was like, "Oh my gosh, really?" So, so yeah, that poor cat. When he was a little kitten, he was outside and he got beat up every day. Every day he would come up, and we started buying food and feeding him and stuff, and he'd come up with different cuts and scrapes and stuff all over him, and he just got beat up every day, which I felt bad for him, but eventually he became the king of the neighborhood.
Oh, definitely the king of the neighborhood.
He's been outside for what, 4 or 5 years now, and yeah, he's the king for sure.
But the funny thing is, he rules the roost, but he's very friendly. Like,
Oh yeah.
he will protect other things. Like, he made friends with the skunk.
Mm-hmm.
He had
Possum.
this little possum that was feeding out of his dish, and the dogs came out, and he protected this possum from the dogs.
He stood between the possum and the dogs like he was guarding them, and the dogs know they don't mess with the cat because he'll stick them. Sometimes he just does it for fun, just to remind them who's in charge. But yeah, some of those cats that used to beat him up when he was little, now they come over and ask for food, and he gives them the yay or the nay. So he's definitely the king.
Yes, but he's got a little girlfriend now. Well, he's had her for like a couple years. We call her Miss Lady. She's a little...
So yeah, we were feeding him once a day, and he was kind of sharing his food with possums and raccoons. Well, all of a sudden, another cat started eating there. So that's his girlfriend. So now we're feeding 2 cats. Well, then she got pregnant and had kittens. So then she started bringing 2 of her kittens around, and so then we're feeding 4 cats. And we moved to twice a day feedings instead of once a day. And then he's got his buddies. Well, what would you call them? Arch nemesis, Leo, and
it
them?
depends on the day, I think, because some days they're friends and the next day they're not.
Yeah, some days he's feeling pretty good and he lets them eat. And so I think we're just feeding the neighborhood cats. But yeah, I made a little box for him for the winter time, and Vicky ordered a little. It's a really cool little heater thing. It's got wool on it, and you plug it in, and it's pressure sensitive. So when the cat lays on the mat, it sends a little voltage through it, and it warms it up and keeps them warm.
But
at
when they
night.
get off of it, it turns it off.
Yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, so we have all kinds of cats now, and Alistair remembers the days. He became my cat because when Austin would leave, I'd take him out and play with him, and we bonded quite a bit. So now he thrives on my attention. So we like to go out on the front porch and sit and drink coffee, and he'll come running and jump up in my lap, and I'll pet him, and he starts getting so excited or just happy that I'm petting him. He starts drooling all over me. I'm like, "Come on, cat."
It's hilarious.
If you've ever seen my Snapchats, I act like I hate him, but he's my buddy. This stupid cat's on my lap again.
That and Miss Lady and her kittens, we've gotten to the point where we could actually start petting them, and they're wild cats.
Yeah, only when they're eating,
Okay,
though.
only when they're eating.
You can pour the food out, and they'll come up, and you can pet them while they're eating. And Miss Lady, she's coming to really like the petting now. So.
Although
yeah.
Troy tried to pick her up the other day.
Oh.
She didn't want to have anything to
Yeah,
do
it
with
didn't
that.
go real well. So, fortunately, she didn't really cut me up, but she stuck her claws in me and saying, "Hey, put me down." So yeah, we have 2 dogs and a whole bunch of neighborhood cats and hummingbirds. In the summertime, what was it, about 8 years ago when we moved in
When
here?
we moved in here, yeah.
We put up some hummingbird feeders, and I think we had a couple that
Yeah.
came in, and then the next year we had like 4 came in. That one year we had like babies.
Yeah,
I mean, you
we
could
actually
tell.
got to see the babies. They'd come up to the feeders
Yeah.
with their mamas
So yeah, the population kept growing, and this past summer we probably had over 25 hummingbirds.
on a regular basis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every day.
We were having to change out the hummingbird feeders every single day.
Yeah. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 or 7 hummingbird feeders.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were just devouring them. Yeah, it's really cool just sitting there watching the hummingbirds. And again, if you have my Snapchat, you know that because I'm always Snapchatting pictures or videos of hummingbirds.
At one point when they were traveling this fall, right at the beginning of fall, there was a storm that went through further north and it got cold, so they started their migration. And we had at least 40 at one time in our front yard.
Yeah, it was crazy.
They were just everywhere. There was like every single hole and every single feeder was full.
We'd go up the ladder to pull the hummingbird feeder to replace it, and they just kind of hovered there waiting for us. Like, come on, bring it out, hurry it up. And then in the wintertime, we feed the birds that stay around. Not hummingbirds, just regular birds. But yeah, especially like when it snows or ice, we know the birds aren't going to be able to find food too easy. So we get a bunch of sunflower seeds and different types of stuff and mix it all together and make up some feed. And
We try to find the stuff they like because then they don't throw it everywhere.
yeah, they're the most ungrateful things, man. They just make a huge mess out there on the deck, but we sweep it up. But yeah, we get all kinds of birds out there in the winter. I mean, it's a popular place out there. We've had cardinals, blue jays, woodpeckers, finches.
Tufted titmouses. They're my
Vicky's favorite, yeah, tufted titmouse. They're cute little birds.
Yeah, we even have this great big woodpecker that comes in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it almost looks like a giant meadowlark, but it's a woodpecker.
he's like Woody Woodpecker.
And it sits in the dish, and it takes up almost the entire dish when it sits in it.
You could tell the hierarchy of the birds too, because there'd be like a bunch of finches out there eating and stuff, and then like the cardinal will come out, and then all the finches are like, okay, give this guy room. The cardinal gets to eat. And then the blue jay comes out, and the blue jays are wicked, man. I mean, all the birds scatter. They're like, and they don't like freak out and fly away. They just back off, several feet, and they're like, hey, you eat what you want.
Except for the woodpeckers. Even the blue jays won't mess with the woodpeckers.
And then the woodpecker comes in, and he's obviously the top of the chain there. Even the blue jays are like, nope. So it's fun.
Yeah. We like our animals. What can we say?
Yeah. So, anyways, that's the pets of empty nesters. Make sure you tune in next week. We had a sneak peek and free wine tasting at Empty Nesters on Sunday, October 18th. And I think next week we're going to talk about that and how it went. All right, Vicky, you said you had a Riesling for us to try today?
Yep. It was the Snowy Peaks Riesling that our producer brought back from Estes Park.
I can't tell the color because we're drinking out of these awesome cups that Vicky bought in Mexico.
Yeah, they're like a stained glass thing.
It smells like a Riesling, kind of sweet, really good, flavorful. It's not bad. It's not overly sweet, but it's definitely a sweet wine, so people would like that. Yeah, I could drink this.
Be nice on a nice hot summer day.
Yeah, definitely. Which is not today.
Today's a little cold. It's only in the 40s.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for listening. Share this with others. And, hey, in the comments, put some ideas that you wouldn't mind hearing us talk about. Because, as you can tell, I'm trying to come up with ideas. We're talking about our dogs and cats here. So give me some ideas. And tune in next week when we tell you about that sneak peek and tasting how it went. Thanks.